Recording.
We'll just put.
And then bada bing, bada boom, baby.
Yay!
Hey.
Welcome to Queen City Grooves.
Hey, this is about to be tight. I'm super excited. Like, say what's up and all that.
Yeah, I gotta get off of cereal. I've been asking a lot of questions about cereal. Like, you did it last week, and then your questions were really good. I don't know why cereal was on my mind. I didn't like those ones. Maybe my questions will be alien related.
It is funny. I'll tell y'all about it, but specifically, that's I love that. Like, I put my first name in all caps for a very specific reason.
There's another artist that's like that. Oh, MF Doom. Everyone's always like put in caps.
Yeah, no, that's part of the reason. It's like a direct homage to
okay, cool.
Swear to God, if you cry, I'm gonna talk about you.
Hey, fuck you.
That's cool. That's probably the nicest thing somebody said to me all day. I appreciate that.
You are so welcome.
You're a saint.
To like
dude,
back in.
I went into the bathroom and I thought nobody was in there. So I'm just in the mirror talking to myself like a normal person. All I hear is,
no.
I swear on everything I say.
Oh, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here.
He said, uh-oh.
That's kind of asshole of them because they knew I was talking to myself for like 2 minutes and didn't say nothing.
Maybe they were like, I gotta shit, this guy's gotta get out of here.
I mean, they could have just been like, hey, dude, I gotta take care of something. I was like, okay, don't just drop the damn nuke on me if I say he or so. Like, come on now.
I was trying to be polite, but my butthole said otherwise.
If you gotta go, you gotta go. But damn, I could have went and got my Bible off the car for you, prayer or something.
Do you want to come?
Yeah, actually, I do. Oh, I'm not gonna do it. You know I was about to say. I can't help it.
You're what?
It's like, you know it's too easy, and I respect you for like holding yourself back.
I literally had to swallow it. Also, that's also what she said. Oh God, I couldn't hold it.
I love you,
I
Aubrey.
couldn't hold
Shut
it. I'm
up.
sorry. I blame The Office and Michael Scott.
I'm big on a that's what she said joke. I won't even play.
I blame Michael Scott.
Real, that's so real.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Queen City Grooves. Sorry for the delay. Little bit of a parking fiasco again.
Oh my God.
Maria was actually about to crash out about it. She actually looks at me, she goes, this is a crash out.
Yeah.
But it's fine. We parked. We're here.
It was my second parking fiasco of the day, that's why.
Yeah.
Damn, twice.
Yeah.
And you had a parking fiasco last week, or the week before.
Yeah, I need to learn.
It's okay.
I just need to walk.
But it's cold out, so it's okay. But we made it through the snow, the tundra. We're here now.
And now we're here. And if you were listening before,
Mm-hmm.
you heard a little sneak peek from our guest.
If you want to say hi, introduce yourself.
Yeah. What it is, what's going on, y'all? It's Nate the Martian. All caps when you pronounce my shit. The one-man army, the general, the cul-de-sac brat. You dig. What's going on, y'all?
That was probably the best intro we've had on here ever.
Hell yeah.
That was actually like probably the best one. That's like clippable.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
Might have to clip that.
Hey, it's funny because when I used to go to like Ohio Media School, way back in the day, and one time we went up to 101.1 The Wiz. And when we went up there, they basically had us, record like liners, like for the radio.
Oh yeah.
So we did that. But when I did mine, for some reason they really liked playing that one like over and over and over again.
Well, yeah, you kind of have that radio cadence down.
I get that a lot. Everybody says like you got a radio voice, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I don't really know how else to describe it. I think it's just I have presence in my voice.
Absolutely.
That's really all it is.
Yeah, you talk with enthusiasm.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm excitable.
That's so
like,
real. So
I'm really excitable. You get me on a topic that I really like, and I'm just like, oh, I will go for hours if
That's
you let
the
me.
best.
That's exactly how like our living room conversations go. Just
Yeah,
like get
but-
really excited about one thing and
Yeah.
then switch for another 45 minutes.
And then we go back to the thing we were just
Yeah.
talking about.
Type.
It's fried, but it's okay.
It's so fun.
But we're super excited to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
I
course.
was telling you a little bit before we started, but you're actually our first rapper that we've had on the show.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was saying, because, Maria and I are graduating this semester, I was like, it's super important to us to, like, get as many genres in that we haven't
Absolutely.
seen before. So we're super excited. We have a whole bunch
Oh,
of
yeah,
questions to ask you.
Of course. And I have plenty of answers. I like to tell.
I'm thrilled. So let's just get into it. So you're from the Cincinnati area. You are based out of Columbus right now.
Yeah.
But are there any like influences or communities like from Cincinnati that kind of pushed you into kind of making the music that you do?
It's kind of weird because the way I grew up, right? I basically was in a different school almost every year, right? So I moved around a lot. Yeah. I was in all of the various different neighborhoods of Cincinnati. Like there was a time where when I was like 8, shit, I used to live in Finneytown. And then I lived in Mount Healthy, and then my grandma stayed in North College Hill, and then I got people who are out in Green Hills, and then I lived in Fairfield, and then I went to school in Hamilton, and it's just like I was everywhere.
Cincinnati world tour.
You know what I'm saying? I was just everywhere, so it's just kind of like I never really claimed that this one specific area would be like my biggest influence, but I just say just Cincinnati in general, just because like I've been around the block like way too much.
Yeah. You know the city pretty well then, if you've been in so many different areas. And...
Yeah, I'd say I'm at least familiar, because it's just kind of like, you mention a spot in Cincy, and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I know kind of what you're talking about. Hell, I got family in places who, like, I love dearly. I don't go out there. Like, I'm not about to go to Price Hill. Like, I love my family so much. I am not hanging out in Price Hill. You go get me killed out there. Because, like, I run my mouth a little too much. I'm a little too excitable, and, like, that's going to get me in trouble. They'll be like, where you from? Where you from? And I'm like, I'm from Cincy. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm from, like, over here and here.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, you can't ask me where I'm from,
yeah,
because
I can't
it's
give
just
you a straight
like
answer. Now I gotta talk to you for 10 minutes.
You see what I mean? Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm from here, but my grandma stay here, but my family stay over here. It's a whole debacle. So I just say like Cincinnati in general. But I know how like deep Cincinnati is.
Yeah.
As far as like music culture, like the amount of people who forget like that the Isley Brothers came from like Cincinnati is like crazy to me. On top of the fact of all these like crazy famous musicians who like have done things, or famous people from like Cincinnati. Hell, like Cat Williams.
Yeah.
Like he's a big Cincinnati dude. He literally just he bought like some old military base or something, and he's turning it into like a movie studio
around here.
No, it's somewhere out in Georgia. Like it's like a like some sort of plot of land. I forget what the story was.
Oh, cool. I didn't know.
But like that's what I mean. Like you see people who are from Cincinnati, like who are like doing like really crazy shit. Hell, even if you like are in the YouTube space, you know people like Markiplier.
Yeah.
He is literally from Cincinnati.
UC grad.
You know what I mean?
Got it.
13.
I did it.
Wow.
I did it.
That's got to be some sort of record.
I did it. Don't worry about it. I had to make sure that the red button is the blinking thing on the camera.
This is exactly how I talk about technology.
Red button blinking.
Red button do thing means blinking means working. That's...
Yes! That's how I talk.
Fastest one to ever do it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Y'all gave me a little bit of grace with the slow counting at the end, but I'm gonna say that was about 15, and we gonna roll with it.
yeah, that was solid.
But no, I love, because especially you being from all the different parts of Cincinnati and like having a little bit of taste of all of it, you probably definitely know like the rooted history of all the kind of music that's flowing through the area. That's super sick, and I love that the music of Cincinnati, it's like Cincinnati itself is like the inspiration and like the driving force.
I'm very proud of where I'm from. Like I rep like Cincinnati on my back like it's not even nothing for real. And that's simply because, like, I grew up in the culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have 513 Day. Like, literally, like, the whole thing that is attached to the area code. Like, the amount of times I was like, I swear to God, if I lose the area code in my phone number, I'm gonna be mad. Like, I'm that deep about it. It's that serious to me.
Yeah.
See, I'm from Columbus, so I'm like 614. I love my 614 area code.
Yeah, but the same deal. Of like, I love my 513 area code, and I am not giving that up for like nothing. I promise you. Like, it is. It's just important to me.
I love that. I love the Cincinnati love, especially considering like we're two people that aren't from Cincinnati. Like we appreciate this city so much. Like it's such.
And I had no idea how much I would appreciate it when I chose to move here. I kind of just was like, it's a good distance from like where I grew up and whatever. And then I got here and I was like, wait. Why is it so cool here?
It's like a character. It's like a human character.
I know, we always say that.
It's like alive. It's awesome.
The amount of things that are just like weird in Cincinnati, and just like all of like the slang that I grew up. Like the amount of time. So I had to explain to my partner, right? I had to explain to them, like, what a Cotty was.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so you know what a roach is, like a ball of blood.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a Cotty.
A Cotty.
So
okay.
that's literally what we will call
Cincy
it.
Slang.
Yeah, it is Cincy slang to the T. The amount of times I'll just be like, oh, let me get a Cotty. And like when I started saying that up in Columbus, people were like, what? What is that? What are you talking about?
That's so
what are you
funny.
saying? And I was just like, oh, right. I am not in Cincinnati right now.
No, yeah, I have not been indoctrinated on the Cincinnati slang yet. That's like the next level up for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And I love that you rep your city so hard. Especially since you've moved, you've got to like spread the love.
It's just that like my roots are important to me. That's all.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally, yeah, for sure. But besides Cincinnati itself, what are your other musical inspirations? Like, who are you listening to coming up? Like, all that sort of stuff. What kind of influenced the Martian sound that we hear now?
I think it's such an interesting question, only because, like, I was one of those kids who was just on, like, the really deep parts of the internet, like, just finding, like, weird, different sounds, and, like, because I just liked music in general.
For sure.
So if you wanted to say, like, my biggest influences, I would say, if I'm ranking it, at least, like, top 3, like, let's say music, if I was on an island, I couldn't live without it, right? Like, that's probably the easiest. I would say number 1 is definitely Hiatus Kaiyote. I love Hiatus Kaiyote because I'm a big, like, jazz, like, fiend.
Okay.
I love that stuff. Then I would say number 2 would be Tyler, the Creator. And then number 3 or 1. I'm fucking up my order. That's crazy. I can't count. Whatever.
Wait,
anyway.
Restart them because this is my favorite question.
Oh, the favorite question?
Chet needed a battery. I needed to help
Oh,
him.
Chet.
God, Chet, you forgot your camera battery.
Nah, but so like top 3, basically, if I was on an island and like I couldn't live without
like
these artists.
influences.
Yes, I love this question.
Yes, so I would definitely say it would be Hiatus Kaiyote is like number 3.
Okay.
Number 2 is Tyler, the Creator, and then number 1 is MF Doom.
And I honestly, I mean, I've never heard Hiatus Kaiyote, but like I can totally see that influence of like Tyler and Doom in the music.
I wanted to ask you about Odd Future.
I was an Odd Future kid.
Yeah. Did you watch Later Scrubs?
Yeah. Nah, because I was an Adult Swim kid too.
Yeah,
so it's just like
when I was listening to your music,
to
I was like, I want to ask him about.
Yeah, nah,
and the
thing is,
definitely influences.
And that's the thing, like, cause I wear my influences on my sleeve, but I'm still very much myself.
Oh, no, definitely, you can tell different influences, obviously, with kind of anybody's music, but I also think I kind of have an overlap and listen to a lot of music like that, so I could tell right away. But then I kept listening, and I kind of went down your discography a little bit, and you have a lot of different sounds, but it kind of all feels very cohesive to you as an artist. Is that intentional, or do you think that kind of just happens?
A bit of both, but it's mainly because I get bored with music, like, really quick. I'm sitting here like, maybe one day I want to do drum and bass music. Maybe one day I want to do acid jazz. Maybe I want to do boom bap today.
And
like,
who's gonna tell you can't?
Exactly. Can't nobody tell me I can't do it. So like, I just kind of do it, and then that's just kind of like what it is. So I just like allow that to be what it is. Whatever I am feeling in that moment, or like if this specific sound or genre is the best way to convey my art or what I am trying to do, then I want to go through that medium. I think that's the easiest way I can break it down.
Totally, that makes sense.
Absolutely. Kind of just talking more about like the music itself. This genre specifically is very lyric heavy. Like a big point of rap music is the lyrics and the writing style and the flows and whatnot. So how do you balance being so lyric heavy with being also so like musical and like sonically interesting? Like it sounds very cool and very pretty, but also like keeping an emphasis on the lyrics and not having the background like take away from what you're trying to say. Like how do you balance that?
So it's interesting because the way I make my stuff and the way I write, it's because I do things backwards, right?
Okay.
Like, a lot of the time, I'll make whole verses and choruses before I even have beats. So, like, I'll create, like, the lyrics and all that, but then, like, I'll structure the beats around what I'm saying. Because it's like, I don't like to be confined to, like, what a beat is doing or telling me to do, and I'd rather basically make what's around it. Because that allows me more freedom in, like, how I can add samples, how I can make certain words be accentuated, how I can try up and do different flows and things. Because I also rap weird. Like, usually, if you, like, beats per minute, right? Mm-hmm. If you were looking at a track and it was recording, like, a lot of my stuff is at a weird BPM. Like, I may record stuff at, like, not even 120, like a regular 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, I'll make stuff at 119. I'll make stuff at 121. Because a lot of my stuff has, like, a groove to it. Yeah. Because I'm either slightly ahead of the beat or slightly behind the beat. Okay. So that is a very big influence on the way that I have my cadences and stuff like that. I force myself into, like, this weird pocket so that I have to be a bit more interesting with what I'm saying, rather than just being stuck to, like, a very specific, like, one-note flow or whatever. Because, like, if you're listening to my music, I want to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
I want you to listen to what I'm saying.
You definitely do keep the listener on their toes, for sure. Yeah, that's really interesting how you do the lyrics before the, like, background music. Do you make all the backing tracks yourself?
Some of them I do, but I gotta give a big shout out to, like, my main guy, Smile Dust. He is, like, my main producer. He was the one who pretty much executive produced, like, my first album, Heartbreak Radio. That was the one I did back in, like, 2020. It's a good point to look at, only just because, like, that was when I was being my most experimental, just trying out a whole bunch of different genres. But, you know, I gotta give a shout out to, like, Reed, like, Smile Dust. Like, we went to, like, high school together.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, like, that's, like, one of my best friends. So it's like, we have, like, such a good rapport in, like, the way I make beats and the way I do stuff. So it's just kind of like, I'd be like, Reed, I want to do a thing. And he's like, okay. I don't have to explain it too much. Usually I'm just like, okay, that's a cool sound. What if we do X, Y, and Z? And then he's like, okay, let's explore that. Why not? Like, he's basically like, he's the introvert, and I am the extremely extroverted one who is literally like, okay, but you know what would be fucking cool?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, but listen. But
hear me out, though, real quick.
Hear me out. That's usually how I like to approach things. Cause, like, and people like working with me in the studio like that because I'm excitable like that, because I'm just like, okay, but, like, what, this would be cool. I love music so damn much that I'm just literally like, but you know what would be cool, though?
Yeah.
Because every time I'm working with people in the studio, I'm like, I want you to use the full range of your voice. I want you to see what you are actually capable of, instead of just like, yeah, this is what I do. And I'm like, fuck that, you sound stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you're limiting yourself subconsciously already just by not wanting to try something different. And I don't like that. That don't sit right with me. Because, like, I do too much different, like, stuff, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. So when it comes to collaboration, do you kind of, like, I don't know, do you prefer to collaborate, or do you prefer to kind of work on your own when it comes to your music, or does it switch back and forth depending on what you're creating, or, like,
it's more like that. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
Some things I write that are much more, like, personal to me, and the things that I do are just like, okay, I'm very particular about who I want on this song. I'm very particular, like, about all the stuff, like my song Dead Man's Game, for example. Like, and we'll be playing that one later, but it's like, that is one of those big examples, like, where that song meant so much to me personally that I was like, I am not going to stop on this song until this is, like, exactly how I need it to be. Like, in those moments, I'm hard on myself. I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure the lyrics right. I gotta make sure this bounces. I gotta make sure the message is proper. I gotta do X, Y, and Z. Like, those are those moments where I'm just like, okay, either I'm gonna do this by myself, or I'm gonna be very, very particular about who I bring in on this song. And that song is a big example of that.
No, you never know when you're gonna need a bar about a duck waddling, you know? Sometimes that could fit.
But the thing is, like, I like being silly. Like, you can't tell me not to be silly. Like, I just think, like...
I get that so hard.
You can't tell me not to be. Like, that's the problem. Like,
I am. I just am.
Because, see, I be telling people all the time, as serious as I am so unserious. Like, I'm probably one of the most unserious people you gonna meet in real life just because I like to play too much. And I'm just like, bro, this is funny. Like, I tell people all the time, people who know me in my personal life, I'm here for the bit. Like, I'm just here for the bit. Like, that's it.
He gets it.
Yeah, I think you're talking to the right people. I think you and Noel would get along really, really, really well.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. I like to play, like, a lot. And then people, and it reflects in my stage work, too. So it's like, I can't begin to fathom what my existence would be like without like music and like my art and things of that nature. So like for example, like my dad, I was just trying to figure out, you know, what I wanted to do with life, with college and like all that, and I was thinking maybe like 18, 19, something like that. It was like, you know, it was whatever. But I remember specifically, he asked me when I was like going off to college, he was like, oh, what's your plan B? Like if the music, excuse me, if the music or the art don't work out or whatever. And I looked at my dad like with a straight face and I told him like, plan B is to make plan A work. Like that's the only thing I know how to do.
Hell yeah.
Like I don't do anything else. Like I'm well skilled in like other areas. Like I picked up a lot of odd jobs over the years, but I'm like, bro, this art is the one thing that is built into me.
It's just
like,
who you are, and it always kind of has been.
Like, yeah, and I can't really take that away from myself either, because it's that deep. Like, and I was the weird kid.
Yeah.
Just
do you
because.
Want to talk about your kind of like origin story when it comes to music? Like, you when you were like a little kid and you were starting to figure out what you enjoyed and things like that.
Okay. It's interesting because I never really get to tell that story. But I guess like when I was like 8 years old, like I started like writing. I was watching a cartoon when I was a kid, and like I was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid was like Static Shock. Like, cause I'm a big Marvel dude. Yeah. Like I love that shit. But,
who's your favorite? Who's your favorite?
It's always gonna be Static, cause like I love a black superhero, and like that was my dog. But I was like a little kid, and I made like a stupid little rap when I was like 8 years old. It was nonsensical, but then like the first thing I did when I got it, I was like, I showed it to my friends. I was like, hey, look at this cool thing that I can do, and da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? And like that was the thing for me. That was what I did. That grew. Up until, I want to say, 14. Because that was when I first got into the studio. Like, 13, 14 years old was my first time actually behind a mic. But I started, but I started writing when I was about 8.
Wow. That's so sick. I remember when I was little and I used to write a song here or there, but I was never really, like, confident in them enough. From what I remember, to go out and show anybody besides like what my babysitter like
my granddad, he was in a band in the 1970s called like the Montclair, like Phil Perry, and that's actually like, fun fact, like people still sample my granddad's like music. Like,
oh my god,
that's so sick.
That's
yeah,
so
like
cool.
They sample him on beats and stuff like that, and like it's just super dope. It's super cool, and like that, knowing that like I'm a third generation musician, because it started with like my granddaddy, and then like my mom, she would try out for stuff. Like I remember watching her go out to try for like American Idol when I was like maybe like 8 or 9. And then like,
oh my god,
American Idol.
She didn't get on TV, but it was just the fact that she went out and tried.
Yeah.
That inspired me as a kid.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I went to school the next day. I was like, guys, my mom, she's doing the thing and she's going on and
oh my god, I would have been so freaking out if my mom went on American Idol.
You know, like because at the time, like that was like the thing to be on like American Idol or go to try out for that.
Absolutely.
So like,
your mom met Randy Jackson.
Probably.
That's fucking awesome.
That was like
that's so fucking
shows like
awesome.
That were like genuinely making a lot of careers at that time.
Kelly Clarkson.
Like it was a really big deal.
Yeah,
I don't know how
it was a super big
now,
deal,
but.
And that's why I thought, like, yeah, like this is why I do what I do. Like, seeing, like, my granddad, but then, like, my mom, but then, like, not really seeing, like, their musical, like, dreams, like, start to work out. I was like, hey, look, third time's the charm. Like, I'm here, and, like, this is something that is, like, way too important to me to, like, not hold on to for, like, dear life. Because if I don't do music, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it is my personality.
That's
like,
so fair.
It is my personality.
And you're so lucky to, like, know what your thing is, and, like, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and what you want to spend the rest of your life doing. Because so many people, it takes their entire lives to figure that out.
Yeah, because, like, people, like, always tried to steer me away from, like, the things that I liked, because, like I said, I was looked at as, like, the quote-unquote weird kid because I didn't listen to traditional music. I didn't listen to a lot of the mainstream stuff. I was interested in music itself. Like, I am not really classically trained. For the most part, I figured out how to do music on my own by kind of teaching myself or being around people who kind of knew it. I didn't go to school for it. The closest thing was me going to, like, Butler Tech, because I went to the School of the Arts class of 2018, and I studied vocal and performing music. So studying that there is probably, like, the most quote-unquote formal experience that I have. But past that, I just got into a room, and I was just like, hey, show me what that is. I kind of want to know. And then I just kind of figured it out from there, because nobody else was going to teach me if I didn't teach myself. So I was just like...
It starts with that, and then it's like, okay, I kind of want to know more. And then it just kind of builds from there.
Like, you gotta have that curiosity. If you don't have that curiosity, then, like, I feel like if you as a musician do not have that, then what are you doing?
Yeah, then it might not be, you know...
Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
At that point, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me to not be curious.
Yeah, I like that you're using the word curiosity in that as well. I feel like we haven't really described that kind of creative process and mindset.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people that we have on here are people who go to CCM and are getting that classical training that you were talking about. But when you kind of come at it from a different walk of life, like, you're just really interested in something, I feel like, that curiosity is so much more pure and, like, I just want to know, rather than being like, I'm a classically trained artist and I want to make the most technical, perfect thing that I can.
Well, and that's the thing, because people forget that music theory is just that. It's theory.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a set of rules that you are bound to follow. Like, does it help? Sure.
Like, say it again for the people in the back.
Like, music, like, listen, I'm saying it and I will say it so loud with my chest.
Yep.
Like, music theory is just theory.
Yes.
There aren't rules to music.
It's a guideline at best. Like, it's kind of like this is what could sound good if you wanted to make something.
Like, if you want to steer yourself in a direction.
That sounds good.
Yeah, steer yourself in a direction. Maybe it might help. Maybe this, that, or the third. Whatever. But you are not bound by the rules that were just set up by people who study music, when music is just, it comes from you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just something you create. It's not something that's like, oh, okay, well, if you want to create it, you have to do X, Y, Z, and A, B, C, D. And I'm just like, that's fucking stupid. That's not fun. Yeah. That's not fun anymore.
No one fucks with rules like that.
I don't like rules. I hate them.
Me neither.
I'm just like, bro, don't tell me what to do.
I've never really been big on them, yeah.
I'm like, bro, don't tell me what to do. Like,
don't tell me when to do it. Don't tell me where to do it.
Like, I'll listen, of course, but, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I have a problem with authority, and I love, probably one of my favorite things is, like, pissing old white men off.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I mean, really fair.
And,
it's so fun, because I'm just like, nah, I want to watch you squirm because you do not like how black I am, and it's beautiful. I love just being, like, so unapologetically myself and black and caring about my art that it makes people that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, because they want to speak on the culture, but they don't want to actually know what the culture is. And, like, I am such a big, like, forward pushing person when it comes to, like, the culture is important. Like, the culture, like, all this shit that you see, like, all this stuff that you be seeing, like, all these, like, white kids out here, like, enjoying, that came from black people. People forget that punk music came from black people. Country music, black people. Blues, jazz, black people. All modern music was created by black people. But then people try to, like, steer that away and try to say like, oh, that's not for you. Like when I said I was into like heavy metal and like punk rock and all these things, when I was coming up, niggas looked at me weird. And I was like, okay, but you don't understand that black people made this. So it's not weird that I don't only like the new Lil Baby song or like Nicki Minaj or whoever is popping at the time, you know, just mainstream names that I'm listing off.
Yeah.
Right? And like that doesn't mean I'm less black because I don't necessarily enjoy what everybody else does.
Absolutely.
And so that's why with what really influences my art, what really influences like the things that are the most important to me is just because like I came up in areas where people perceived me as quote unquote safe, right? Like a safe black person. Like they didn't really acknowledge my blackness. They were just kind of like, oh, he's a guy, he hangs around and stuff like that. And I hated it because like I couldn't really fully be myself or talk about the things that like I cared about. And that was just, it was weird. And like the thing was, like I am so unapologetic when it comes to being like, I have lived like, you know, the black experience. As much as people tried to take it away from me just because of how they perceived me, but they perceived me as somebody who didn't like have the thing and all this, that, and the third. But like when I actually tell them about my lived experiences, and I'm like, yeah, no, that happened to me, like I've been stopped by the cops, like I had to run from the cops when I was 15, and that was simply because like I was in Green Hills, like 15 years old, and I was hanging out with my brother like on the corner over some spot, and then this lady just called the cops on us like for nothing. Like I was standing by, like his little girl at the time lived next to an abandoned house. We happened to just be standing right there. And then she called the cops on us just for standing right there. We went up to her and we were like, hey, why are you calling the cops on us? And then like this old lady starts screaming on the phone like, they're threatening me. And then like me and my brother booked it. We did not have time.
And you're 15?
15.
Oh yeah, you're shitting
15.
your pants like you're terrified. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I can't, I'm like, bro, my mama ain't gonna let me hang out with you if I get caught by the cops. I can't.
Well, yeah. That's like the biggest thing on your mind.
At that point, I'm like, my mama ain't gonna let me hang out with you. And this is my best friend. Like, that's like my brother. Like, to this day. Like, and, like we still, like, tight. So it's just, like, knowing that, like, I'm like, bro, I can't get caught up because I don't even care about the cops. I need to be able to see my homie. You know what I mean? And my mama tried to keep me out of that, but my homies, most of my people, most of my close friends were in the hood. I was always in the hood hanging out, like, with a lot of my close peoples. That's why I reflected in like my album, which is Cul-de-sac Brat, because I was always in and out. Like, yes, I lived in the suburbs and things like that, but I was always in the mix. I was always getting in trouble doing things that I really should not have been doing as a kid. So I still have that lived experience, and I reflect that in my music.
So how does all of that tie into this specific album, Cul-de-sac Brat?
With Cul-de-sac Brat, it became a thing for me because basically almost everywhere I lived, funny enough, when I was coming up, I always lived in a cul-de-sac.
Hell yeah, I live in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like every time I moved.
My whole street's just a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I'm saying like, bro, every time I moved, like, I'm in another cul-de-sac, I'm in another cul-de-sac.
All the cool kids lived in the cul-de-sac and they always had the basketball hoop that everybody would go play at.
And you could ride your bikes in the cul-de-sac.
It was a real closed off area, but most of the time cul-de-sacs were their own community in and of itself. It was just like people who lived in that little area. But like the cul-de-sac was, for me, seems like the middle point between like what is known as somebody who kind of has money or is around or in the suburbs versus people who don't, because there are cul-de-sacs everywhere. It just depends on like what area. Like a cul-de-sac doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, you're well off or you're in a rich area. Nah, you could be in like the shittiest cul-de-sac ever and still in the hood. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's not like exclusively a thing. Yeah. So that was the representation for me of like what the cul-de-sac means to me, because cul-de-sacs were always comfy. They were always like home to me. So that's where the cul-de-sac part came from. And then the Brat part in Cul-de-sac Brat came from just like, I'm a very in-your-face type of person. Like, I get what I want when I want it, and nobody's gonna tell me that I can't have it.
I love that.
So,
that's
like,
clippable too.
Yeah, I'm literally like, bro, yes, I am a brat. Like, no Charlie XCX shit. But, like,
that's also clippable.
Why not?
I'm saying, look, I know my music. I be knowing.
You know I was gonna ask about it.
I be knowing. I be knowing, man. I be knowing. But like, that's what it is. Like, so like, cul-de-sac brat is just like, it's meant to reflect duality, right?
Yeah.
Because just because I looked like I was in a nice neighborhood and I was just around a couple people didn't mean that that was my life.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily what it was.
And with that album, the lyrics on it kind of, there's a few songs that seem very intimate, kind of like what you were talking about earlier, where it's like you probably had only certain people come on and help you with these certain tracks. There was one line that was like something about how you were 19 and then all of a sudden all these years go by and then all of a sudden you're 30 and you're like, what the hell happened? And I forget what song it was.
If you pointed the song, then I'll be like, okay, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. But like, yeah.
That one definitely like resonated with me in like a certain way, especially in the time of our lives that we're in right now, since we're about to be done with college and like trying to figure things out and graduating and whatever. Do you kind of just want to talk about your journey growing up as an artist and pursuing that maybe as you became into your 20s and then really got serious about it and continued to do it?
I think the simplest way to look at it was just like, because I don't even really need a long-winded explanation for this one. Like, I just loved art. That was all it was. Like, I was just like, this is the thing that I do. This is the thing that I like.
Showed up and showed out.
And like, I'm just like, I want to know as much as possible, like, about said thing. So like, I can't really say it was more than just this pure love of the arts and seeing how cool things are, because like, I love anime, I love animation, I love film. Like, I took film classes like in college when I was doing it. Like, so I just love the medium of art and all the things that you can do with it, and that just came up with me going into wherever I did when I was growing up. I was just like, I went where the art was at. That was it. Like, if the art was there, I was there.
Found yourself in those places and continued with it.
Yeah, because I was like, I didn't really know who I was. I didn't really know who I was, but I knew I was an artist. That's all it was. I was just like, I don't know how to describe what it is or who I am, but I know I want to be around the arts. And that's just what it boiled down to.
And I feel like that's kind of a community in and of itself, of just people who feel that way. And it's a beautiful thing when they can find each other and create art together. And yeah.